Nicola over in the Dubai office here, really just to give you guys a very quick update with the UK property market. 1st of Feb now, we've just finished January, and I have to say the sheer amount of optimism from our investors this year has just been incredible. We're only 4 or 5 weeks into the year, and there's just this real positivity that's surrounding investments at the moment, and it's just a really awe-inspiring time to be part of the story. Last year was the biggest stress test on the UK property market. Understandably, a lot of investors had a huge amount of uncertainty surrounding their existing portfolios, but also maybe put a slight halt on expanding and investing outside of the areas that they were currently in. And coming into the start of this year, it's been an incredible time to work with certainly our portfolio investors that are just so driven to expand their portfolios. And regardless of COVID and regardless of Brexit, these are two factors that really tarnished the market last year. And there was a huge media frenzy around those two factors that kind of put this just this real air of negativity around the property market, and it did shy some of our investors away. Those investors have really bounced back this year, and they've come back to us and they said, we're so driven to expand our portfolios. We've seen that the UK is so resilient. It's an incredibly buoyant market, regardless of all these external and internal economical factors. And there's just this bounce back, there's just this sheer positivity in the market. And I know I speak for all of my colleagues here at Thirlmere Deacon when I say it's been a genuine pleasure to work with all of our clients in the first 4 or 5 weeks of this year. And we're really excited for February. Now, one thing to consider is Savills, property report and forecast for this year has indicated a 2 to 3% increase in property prices. Now, that isn't just a throwaway figure. That does take into account, the virus. It does take into account Brexit. It takes into account everything that's happening at the moment in the UK and in Europe. And it's not a huge figure, it's not your 4, 5, 6%, but it's still a nice figure. It's still a great sort of sentiment to the UK property market that we've gone through all what we've gone through in the last 12 months, and property prices do still, remain buoyant and are still increasing. Now, I was speaking to clients last year that said they were going to wait 12 months, insinuating they were going to wait to the end of this year. They said there's going to be a dip in the market, property prices are going to bottom out, and they're going to buy something cheap at the end of this year. Those same clients I'm now speaking to, because they've realised that you don't get much in the bank these days. You're looking to get 0.1%. By virtue of buying off plan, you get 3% interest on the funds that you deposit, and the property prices are going to increase by about 2 to 3% by the end of the year. So, when you do the simple mathematics, it doesn't make sense to wait. It makes sense to put your cash into something now. Take advantage of the fact that the property prices at the moment, aren't going to increase, within the next sort of 4 or 5 weeks. But by the end of the year, certainly they will have increased by 2-3%. And then you need to, the money that you've got in the bank right now needs to be working harder for you. So there's been, I think, a lot of common sense that's entered the market this year. People have realised that the cash does nothing in the bank, and they've really started to invest quite heavily into UK property. So it's been a really exciting start to the year. As always, the Northwest and the Midlands seems to be winning the race at the moment. A lot of our London investors have come out of the capital. They've seen lower property prices up north, higher yields and stronger capital growth. So they're really sort of pulling their investments out of London. They're liquidating their properties that they've got in zones 1, 2, 3, those really expensive postcodes. And they're investing into the likes of Manchester, Liverpool, Newcastle, Birmingham. So that's where we're at. That's a little update for you on the start of 2021. It's a very, very exciting time to be part of the industry, and we're all really excited here to be working with our new investors and our portfolio investors going into the summer.